Now that we've seen how valuable peels really are, let's zoom out a bit and think about how this connects to the bigger picture. When we're out cycling between farms or community gardens, bike agritourism is all about experiencing the land sustainably, eating local produce, supporting small farms, and keeping our footprint light. Composting fits right into that cycle. Every banana, apple, or orange peel from a mid-ride snack can go straight back into the soil, closing the loop between what we eat and what the earth grows. Today, we'll look at 3 easy ways to compost your peels. 1. Traditional composting. 2. Vermicomposting with worms. And 3. Making a peel tea, a simple, space-saving liquid fertilizer. So let's get started. So let's start with the classic traditional composting. This is really the foundation of healthy soil. Composting is basically nature's recycling system, a managed process where billions of microbes break down organic material into something rich and dark. To make that happen, we balance 2 kinds of materials: greens, so nitrogen-rich peels and food scraps, and browns, carbon-rich stuff like dry leaves, shredded paper, or cardboard. So the golden rule is roughly 3 parts browns to 1 part greens. Start with a brown layer for airflow, and then add your peels. And then cover them with a brown layer. You're going to want to add a little water so it feels like a wrung out sponge. Too wet and it'll smell. Too dry and things start to slow down. Make sure to turn your compost every few days. That's how you keep it healthy and odor-free. Most of the microbes doing the work need oxygen, so aeration is key. That is an important detail. Composting is an aerobic process, which means oxygen is part of the equation. When food waste goes to a landfill, it decomposes without oxygen. That's anaerobic decomposition, and it releases methane. Methane is a greenhouse gas over 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So every time you compost, instead of throwing peels away, you're actually reducing methane emissions that contribute to climate change. As this mixture heats up, the compost goes through a few stages. First, the Mesolithic phase, where moderate temperature microbes start the breakdown. Then, the Thermolithic phase. It gets hot over 55 degrees Celsius, which kills off pathogens. Finally, the curing phase. Things cool down and stabilize into rich, crumbly compost. After a few months, you'll have beautiful, ready-to-use compost, perfect for farm stops or urban gardens. If you want something quicker, or you're dealing with a smaller amount of peels, like at a hostel, a farm stand, or even your backyard, vermicomposting is a great option. This method uses red worms to turn your scraps into rich compost full of nutrients and beneficial microbes. All you need is a container with air holes, moist bedding like shredded paper, and red wigglers, the composting worms. So you're going to want to start with a damp bedding and then add your worms. So I don't have any red wigglers today, so we'll use gummy worms to demonstrate. You have to feed them a small amount of chopped peels. So in this case, I have my banana peels, a bit chopped up. Avoid too much citrus or spicy scraps. Worms don't really like that. So now you're going to want to cover the peels and the worms with more bedding to keep the fruit flies away and to make sure it stays moist. In about 4 to 6 weeks, you'll see worm castings, dark crumbly compost that's basically gold for your soil. So where can you get these worms from? You're looking for a specific kind of worm called the red wiggler. They're surface dwellers that love to eat decaying plant matter. You can find them either from local composting groups or community gardens. They often share starter colonies. At bait shops, just to make sure they're labeled red wigglers, not deep digging earthworms. Or order them online from small worm farms. They'll come in a breathable bag with a bit of compost ready to move in. Once you've set up your starter batch, they'll reproduce naturally, so it's a one-time setup. Vermicomposting works great for eco lodges, community gardens, or bike tour rest stops. It's clean, efficient, and it gets people talking. Nothing says sustainable tourism like a little worm colony quietly recycling your snack peels. For short on space and looking for a quick way to feed plants, there's PLT, sometimes called bioenzyme. Here's how to make it. So you take a jar or bottle and you mix 1 part peels, 3 parts water, and 1 spoon of brown sugar or jaggery. Close the lid, give it a good shake, and leave it in a shaded spot for 2 to 3 weeks. Shake it every few days to let the air in. As it ferments, microbes break down the peels and release nutrients into the liquid. Once it's ready, strain and dilute 1 part PLT to 10 parts water. Use it to water plants or spray on leaves. Banana PLT gives potassium for flowers, citrus PLT, and can even help repel pests. It's perfect for small farms along a cycling trail, turning a snack waste into plant food. Another exciting way to make composting easier and more social is through community composting sites. Instead of everyone trying to manage a little bin at home, people in a neighborhood, farm network, or cycling route can bring their scraps to a shared compost hub. These sites make the process more efficient, larger piles break down faster, and they turn composting into a fun community activity. You can learn from each other, swap garden tips, and literally see waste turning into life together. And this connects beautifully with agritourism. Farms and tour operators can host community compost stations right on site, collecting peels and scraps from visitors, cyclists, and locals. That compost then goes straight back into the same land that feeds the community, creating a visible, educational example of circular agriculture. It's a small-scale climate solution that also builds community ties. So here are some tips and warnings to keep your compost or a public compost station healthy. Remember to chop your peels small, keep it moist like a wrung-out sponge, maintain a 3-to-1 brown-green ratio, and turn regularly for airflow. Don't add meat, oils, or dairy, overdo citrus, or leave peels uncovered. Always cover with browns or bedding. A quick fix can be, if it smells bad, add browns into the mix. Too dry, make sure to add water. If you find pests, cover and balance the moisture levels. So let's do a quick recap. We explored 3 simple ways to compost peels that fit perfectly into sustainable agritourism. Traditional composting, layering peels with browns and keeping it aerated to reduce methane by keeping the process aerobic. Vermicomposting, using bread wigglers to create nutrient-rich castings. And peel tea, fermenting peels into a quick liquid fertilizer. And beyond that, community composting brings people together, makes the process easier, and strengthens the connection between farms, visitors, and the environment. When you're cycling through farms or gardens, every peel you compost helps close the loop, from snack to soil to harvest. Composting reminds us that even the smallest act, like saving a banana peel, can grow into something truly meaningful.